Hello everyone, it's me Sakura, back again. Today I'm going to review the movie Real Steel. The film is set in a time when advanced machines gradually replace humans in the boxing ring. Boxers have officially retired to the countryside to fish. Charlie was once a famous boxer with incredible moves, but now he's just a washed-up fighter. Drowning in debt because he spent all his money and borrowed from everywhere, he used it all to buy himself an old and ugly robot named Albert. Charlie brought it to the fair. When the kids saw the robot, they came over to ask for a photo. Charlie demanded $5. Of course, the kids refused. Even when he kindly offered to cut the price in half, not wanting to argue with children. He brought the robot inside, but Albert's opponent turned out to be much tougher than previously agreed. So he demanded to raise the bet to $20,000. Ricky shot back, "What you've got stuck on you is the word poor." Charlie then bluffed, claiming he had a truckload of cash parked outside, and the guy actually believed him. The fight quickly began. Albert entered to the cheers of the crowd. Relying on his fighting experience, Charlie controlled Albert to dodge the bull's attacks, then timed it perfectly for a powerful punch, only to miss. Charlie smugly celebrated, basking in the applause from everyone. He even took the opportunity to flirt with some girls, but because of his overconfidence, the bull rammed Albert and broke its leg. Charlie, feeling sorry for his loss, asked to stop the game, but there was no way Ricky would agree. As a result, the limping Albert was brutally rammed by the bull and lost its head. Just a moment ago, he was so majestic, but now he had turned into nothing more than a pile of scrap metal. He asked the kids to give back the leg, but times had changed. They demanded a ransom of $5. Charlie had no choice but to take his pile of scrap and hide before Ricky could skin him alive. Suddenly, he noticed two people chasing after him. Thinking they were debt collectors, he quickly threw a punch, but to his surprise, he was told that his ex-girlfriend had just passed away and that Charlie now had to take responsibility for their 11-year-old son. At the court hearing, the boy's aunt Deja and her husband were fighting for custody of their nephew, but according to the law, the court still granted custody to Charlie. He originally just wanted to come back, sign the paperwork quickly, and hand over custody to his sister-in-law. At that moment, he keenly noticed Deja's wealthy husband and pretended that he wanted to send the boy to an orphanage, forcing the man to appease his wife by paying him $100,000 in exchange for custody. The man gave him half the money upfront and asked him to take care of the boy while they were busy abroad. Charlie was overjoyed at this windfall. He hurried to contact someone to buy a new robot. After that, he went to see Talit, the owner of a gym that was about to close down. The reason was that Charlie owed her money and hadn't paid her back. Even so, hopelessly smitten, she still continued to repair robots for Charlie. At this point, Deja and her husband had brought Max over. The aunt had no idea about their transaction. The reunion between father and son couldn't have been more awkward when Max found out his dad had sold him to buy a robot. He demanded half the money so he could run away from home, but Charlie was completely broke. Max felt utterly miserable and hurt, but when he went inside, he saw his dad's new robot. That was Noisy Boy, a well-known boxer in the world of robot boxing. The boy was actually a huge fan of these iron fighters. Charlie was also overjoyed and tried giving it commands, but Noisy Boy didn't respond at all. It turned out that it only understood Japanese, which was exactly how it operated in major tournaments. Talit managed to switch it over to English. Noisy Boy had an entire control panel with preset moves. Both of them hoped it would make a difference. Charlie loaded it onto the truck, but Max took the keys and gave him an ultimatum: either take him along, or he'd throw the robot down the drain. The two of them headed to Finn's underground fighting arena. Feeling overconfident, Charlie officially skipped the smaller matches and challenged Midas, the reigning champion of this place. Let Max forget him, so go step by step. Then, the reigning champion, known as the Pain Machine, stepped into the ring. After the introduction, both were brought onto the field. As soon as the match started, Noisy Boy landed a blow that knocked his opponent down. As soon as Midas got back up, he was immediately pummeled again. But the good times didn't last long. Just as Noisy Boy was about to deliver the finishing move, Midas suddenly countered and landed a powerful punch to his stomach. Caught off guard, Charlie fumbled, unsure of which move to use next. He didn't even understand what the moves on the control panel meant. Giving random commands only made things worse. Noisy Boy had his arm chopped off by Midas. The opponent grabbed his remaining arm and repeatedly punched him in the head. In the end, Noisy Boy couldn't take it anymore and met a tragic fate. Charlie was utterly disappointed, seeing the expensive robot reduced to nothing but a pile of scrap metal. Max was just as frustrated with his father, believing that he acted without thinking and was heartless enough to throw away anything he didn't need. Charlie was at a loss for words and could only tell his son to get in the car. They had no money left to buy a new one. That night, the two of them went to a junkyard to look for parts so they could build a robot themselves. At that moment it was pouring rain, and as Charlie searched he told his son stories about his own glory days. But Max, not paying attention, ended up standing at the edge of a deep pit. Just as Charlie noticed, the ground gave way and Max was swept down with it. After falling a short distance, the boy was lucky enough to get caught on a robot arm, which stopped his fall. He hurriedly climbed down, grabbed his son's hand and managed to pull the boy up. At that moment, Max discovered an entire robot buried beneath the dirt. The boy wanted to take it home because it had just saved his life. But Charlie disagreed and left the boy there by himself. Max didn't run after his father but instead started digging up the robot himself, helped by the rain that had washed away some of the dirt. The next morning he finally managed to pull it out. After all, this robot had saved his life, but Max was still angry, saying, "You really are the worst dad of the year." Back home, Charlie asked Bailey to help him assemble the pile of scrap metal they'd found into a new robot, but she had had enough of his unreasonable behavior and declared she was quitting to earn money on her own to keep the gym running. Charlie gradually began to understand the problem, but still shamelessly asked her to take a look at the robot Max had brought home. Talit replaced the battery and connected it to an old control panel. The robot, which they thought was just scrap, suddenly sat up, and not only that, it could even mimic the actions of the person in front of it. Now it was Charlie and his father's turn to fight over the robot. He wanted to break it down and sell it for scrap metal, but Max refused. The boy took the robot to clean it up. After washing off the layers of mud and dirt, Max saw the name Atom and decided to ask his dad to let him take it to the fighting arena. But Bailey said it was outdated, just a sparring robot. Aside from its high endurance and ability to mimic movements, it couldn't fight back. But like father, like son, Max was determined to get it into the ring. Max grew more and more attached to Atom, perhaps because Atom was the only one who would listen to him and play with him. One day, thanks to Bailey, Max learned that his father used to be a tough boxer, even managing to land a punch on the world's #2 ranked fighter. Before the boy even had a chance to idolize him, Charlie shot it down himself, insisting that winning and losing was all that mattered. At the same time, he said goodbye to Bailey so she wouldn't get dragged into his troubles, then continued wandering with his truck. The father and son arrived at the international arena. Charlie asked Finn to help him get a loan to repair the robot, but as an unknown, he had nothing to offer as collateral, so he was turned down. While Max was waiting for his dad, he spotted Zurg. That was the top robot at the time, praised as an undefeated steel fighter, designed by the leading genius in the field. The boy gazed in awe, forgetting to blink, and was even tossed Zurg's cleaning towel by a staff member. Charlie, unable to secure a loan and feeling hopeless, waited outside while Max went to watch Zurg fight in the ring. Any robot that faced Zurg ended up destroyed. The father and son disagreed and started arguing again. Charlie decided that tomorrow he would take Atom to compete, in hopes of completely crushing the boy's unrealistic dreams. The next morning he was woken up by a commotion. It turned out Max had spent the whole night programming fighting moves for Atom. The father and son set off for the local underground tournament. The boss offered 100 per round, but Max confidently demanded 300. Finding the boy interesting, he said that if Atom could last a single round, he would give Max $1,000. This time their opponent was a robot named Metro with a wild appearance and one arm equipped with a hammer. This time, Max took control, but apart from enduring the opponent's blows, Atom showed no other reaction. Because Max was just a kid, he was still quite clumsy at controlling and limited in his moves. It wasn't until Atom was repeatedly hammered and knocked to the ground that the anxious boy rushed to Atom's side and shouted for him to get up. Amazingly, Atom actually sprang back up, right as the bell signaling the end of the first round rang out. Charlie couldn't believe it and jumped up in excitement. The cheating boss refused to pay up and instead doubled the bet for the second round. No one could have expected that as soon as the round started, Max had Atom land a double uppercut right to the opponent's throat. Metro short-circuited and started billowing smoke. It gave itself a few slaps, then got dizzy and fell flat on its back. That was how impressive Atom's very first appearance was. Charlie received his first $2,000, and someone even came to challenge them to another match for $7,000. Back home, Max continued tinkering and installed a voice recognition device from 2 old robots into Atom. Now, all Max has to do is speak, and Atom will be able to execute moves according to his commands. The boy was so happy that he even danced hip-hop with Atom to help it improve further. Max even tried to persuade his father to teach Atom martial arts, but Charlie refused. Instead, Charlie told the boy to have Atom perform a dance at the start of the next match, since it could attract the audience. Max then made a deal. He would only dance if Charlie agreed to teach Atom boxing. In the end, Charlie used his boxing skills to teach Atom the most effective defensive and offensive moves. Soon, Saturday arrived. Max brought Atom into the ring, even treating the crowd to a signature dance that got the whole arena fired up. After that, Atom kept leading the father and son to victory, match after match. At this rate, they might need to buy a money counter. News about this rising robot quickly spread across newspapers and media outlets. Charlie also sent money back to Told, paying off his debts and repaying her kindness. Before long, the World Robot Association reached out and invited Atom to participate in this season's tournament. Charlie couldn't believe his dream was so close to coming true. He was both excited and anxious but ended up blaming his son, while the boy calmly upgraded Atom. At that moment, the two of them suddenly received an invitation to Zurg's room. Sitting inside was its owner Farah, a beautiful and ambitious woman. She got straight to the point, offering to buy Atom as a sparring partner for Zurg for the staggering price of $200,000. Charlie of course wanted to shoot right away, but Max didn't agree. To him, Atom wasn't just an object but his best friend. Charlie chased after his son, trying to persuade Max, but it was useless. Very quickly the match began, drawing the attention of millions of viewers across the country, including Told. Atom's opponent stepped onto the stage. The opponent looked truly suspicious with two heads that doubled its field of vision. In addition, there was a professional control team with every move analyzed by computers. Atom, on the other hand, came out with energetic dance moves from Max and was backed only by the boy and his father. Charlie did the controlling, while Max prayed. At first, Atom only launched simple attacks. Atom was able to easily dodge and counterattack, but it seemed like he was just testing his opponent's strength. Soon after, Tron increased his speed and kept changing his attack angles. Charlie couldn't keep up, causing Atom to get hit every single time. It took him a while, but he finally discovered its weakness. Every time Tron swung his arm, he needed a moment to do so. Charlie quickly controlled Atom to launch a barrage of attacks on Tron's arm. At close range, Tron's ability to use his arms would be limited. Atom closed in and unleashed a flurry of punches to the opponent's head. Tron suffered a major system failure and completely lost the ability to fight. That's right, I've put up with you for long enough. In the end, the two-headed robot was reduced to a pile of scrap metal. Everyone burst onto the ring in excitement. With this match lasting less than 2 minutes, Atom quickly became a youth idol. Max, thrilled, rushed onto the ring, grabbed the referee's microphone and sent a message to Farah. Instead of using money to manipulate others, accept Atom's challenge. He will definitely defeat Zurg. After that, he enthusiastically hyped up the stage. The father and son received their first earnings and planned to go celebrate, but their plans were ruined by Ricky, the loan shark from the beginning of the film. Even though Charlie said he would pay back both the principal and the interest, Ricky was still not satisfied and wanted to rough him up. Charlie hurriedly punched one of them, then grabbed Max and tried to run, but they didn't get far before being caught. The whole gang ganged up on him, beating him up and even pushing Max to the ground. Charlie, anxious, fought back but in the end was still knocked to the ground. After that, they even took all the prize money from the father and son. That night, he realized he was a scoundrel, unworthy of being a good father. So he decided to contact Danger, bringing the boy to hand him over to them, and also refused to take the remaining money from Marvin. But in return, Max was deeply disappointed. The boy reacted strongly and begged him to let him stay by his side. They still had to fulfill their dream together of making Atom the reigning champion. Seeing the boy's pitiful eyes, Charlie wavered a little, but in the end, he still let him go because he wanted what was best for his son. Before leaving, Max choked up and said, "I want you to fight for me. That's all I ever wanted." On the way back, looking at the memories that remained and at Atom, Charlie was extremely confused and sad, so he went to Starla's gym. She told him that Max needed a father, not a wealthy life, but Charlie felt he wasn't worthy of the boy. Starla told him that what he needed to care about was Max's feelings, that he had to understand what the boy wanted. This was what awakened Charlie. He hugged and kissed her, thanked her, and immediately went to find Max. Charlie tried to express all his regret. He apologized for all the pain he had caused the boy, and now he was there to make things right. Behind Charlie was Atom, and the three of them would once again step into the arena. They would fight a life-or-death match against Rust, which deeply moved the boy, and fortunately, Danger was a kind and understanding woman. She allowed and supported the father and son. The day of the match arrived, and crowds flocked to the New York arena. Everyone buzzed about the two unevenly matched fighters. Team Atom stepped into the ring as challengers, receiving cheers from the crowd, but Farah immediately launched a preemptive attack against Max's side. The MC's father kept hyping up Rust's reputation and looked down on Atom. Outside, Ricky also showed up, confidently betting $100,000 that Atom wouldn't make it past the first round. Inside, Rust made his entrance, radiating the aura of a villain, accompanied by the host's slick commentary. He was described as an invincible war god. As soon as the match began, Atom took a punch from Rust and fell face down on the mat. After being urged on by Charlie, he pushed himself up, only to be pummeled by Rust and forced into a corner before he could stand upright. No matter how hard Charlie tried to get Atom out of the dead corner, he still got knocked down to the mat by Rust. In just a few seconds of fighting, Atom had already been knocked down 3 times. With Max's intense encouragement, it seemed like Atom actually heard him. He stood up once again, and this time he managed to land an uppercut right on Rust's jaw. That punch actually left Rust reeling. Everyone was utterly astonished. For an outdated machine like Atom, just landing a hit on Rust was already an incredible feat. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Atom launched a flurry of attacks, driving Rust into the corner to everyone's shock. But Rust quickly turned the tables, forcing Atom into a dead corner and unleashing a barrage of punches with both hands. The bell signaling the end of the first round rang out, and Atom was still standing strong. Charlie and his father burst into tears and went on stage. Ricky was so terrified he looked for a hole to crawl into. If he lost this bet, selling a kidney wouldn't help, but Finn had posted guards in advance. Classic case of, if you're stupid you die, it's not a disease. Charlie and Max quickly replaced Atom's battery and reconnected his wires before the start of the second round. It seemed Farah sensed the danger, so the two of them whispered something suspicious to each other. In the second round, Atom was tossed around by Rust like a tin can, but then he retaliated with a flurry of punches to Rust's face. And so, a new round began. Rust's attacks dented Atom's chest, but Atom was still able to counterattack, getting knocked down, then getting back up again. By the middle of the fourth round, Rust began to unleash his deadly finishing move. Rust focused his punches on Atom's head, causing Atom's voice recognition device to break. Atom could no longer hear anything Charlie was saying. The boy suggested switching to simulation mode and Charlie would help him play this final round. At first, the former boxer intended to refuse, but once again, he gave in to his son's earnest gaze. In the match, this time Atom fought back blow for blow, landing several solid hits on Rust as well. Everyone quickly realized that Atom was mimicking Charlie's movements. Even so, Atom was still cornered while Rust kept unleashing a relentless barrage of attacks. It just put its hands on its head. Macedo even directly urged his supervisor to have Rust go all out and pummel Atom with full force. They believed they had victory in their grasp, but little did they know they had fallen right into Charlie's trap. He just wanted to make Rust burn through all its energy. Rust gradually slowed down and finally, to the cheers of the entire arena, he threw a hook at it and aimed for Rust's head. Macedo frantically grabbed the controller, hoping to salvage the situation, but it was all in vain. Because going toe-to-toe with a promising boxer like Charlie was like throwing eggs at a rock. He felt as if he was seeing himself up in the stands. For the first time, the boy saw his father looking so heroic. The joy was so overwhelming that it brought tears to his eyes. He wished he could have been by his father's side sooner, but it didn't matter, because now he had finally witnessed that day. After a series of fierce blows, Charlie unleashed a decisive strike with all his strength, knocking Farah's champion to the ground, even though it managed to get back up before the final bell rang. The match was declared a draw, but the judges still decided to give the victory to Rust. This made the entire team extremely dissatisfied, but they also understood where this result came from. Even though they held the title of reigning champion, they could only leave in shame, while Atom was recognized by everyone as the people's champion. Father and son embraced each other and held Atom's hand, bursting with the joy of victory. The movie ends here. Real Steel is a very meaningful film, showing us just how powerful faith and hope can be. Never give up on your dreams, and remember that everyone deserves a chance to make up for their mistakes. Sometimes life will knock you down in its own way, but only you can choose whether to accept defeat or bravely stand up like Atom. Although Atom is just an emotionless, lifeless robot, it seems he can still sense human feelings. Atom is also the one who saved Max's life, so no matter how much people offered to buy Atom, Max still decided not to betray the one who had saved him. He believes that Atom is a very special robot. Thank you all so much for supporting Sakura so the channel could grow to where it is today. If you enjoyed this, please give me a like and leave a comment sharing your thoughts about the movie. And especially don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch my latest movie summaries. See you again, dear friends.